Hello and welcome back to Democracy, everybody. Welcome back to Helldivers 2, where today we're going to be going over all the boosters and the changes that I might make to them, because we've kind of done this with primary and secondary weapons, and a lot of those things have been implemented thanks to the weapon upgrade system, which is pretty cool. But let's talk about the boosters, because we haven't done that, and there are a couple new boosters to go over. So our very first booster is the Vitality Enhancement. This one makes it so it gives damage reduction from all sources to Helldivers, at least that's what it says. This is actually like one of the best boosters in the game. This one gives you a decent amount of tankiness. It also stacks with whatever armor you're using, so that's really good. And it's also really good for any sort of effects like fire, where fire can burn you, and then this will make it so that fire damage is lessened. So it's really good on like a fire build. It's really good on just about any build. If you're going with like a light armor build, it might actually make it so you survive an extra hit. If you're going with a heavy build, you can actually survive quite a few extra hits. If you're going with a fire build, it can make it so that lasts longer. If you're going with like dead sprint, the next booster, you get faster run from this, because the way damage works in Helldivers 2 is that it rolls down to the next number. So this actually rolls down the damage quite a bit, meaning that you take less damage overall. This is still not going to help you if you get like one shot from things, but in that case, basically nothing besides Democracy Protects could do that for you, and that's only on medium armors. So like if you want to throw this on there to have extra protection, you might as well. I wouldn't change anything about this, and this particular booster just keeps getting better and better as time goes on. Then we have Stamina Enhancement. This increases Helldiver stamina and recovery. That's not all that it does, though. It also gives you extra movement speed. It doesn't say that, but it does. You do get extra movement speed thanks to the Stamina Enhancement. This is also affected by the armor that you're wearing, and if you're wearing heavy armor, you're still going to be able to move faster than you would without this. It's fantastic for heavy armor users. It's fantastic for light armor users. It's fantastic for basically everybody. This one and the Vitality one are probably like the two best boosters in the entire game. They're just a straight buff to your characters, and you might as well take them, and I wouldn't change anything about them. They're really good. The only thing that I really would change about these is give them more of like a breakdown of everything that they do. Like right into this section right here, just make it so it's like however much stamina recovery, whatever percentage of movement speed. I think this is like 23% faster movement speed overall. And then like the stamina recovery rate. Just kind of show all the things that it actually affects. That would be like my only change for these two. Up next we have Muscle Enhancement. This one says that it allows Helldivers to traverse difficult terrain with ease. This one basically makes it so you're less affected by slowdowns, and this affects all slowdowns, so this can just be as simple as mud on the ground where you walk slower through it, or if you're running through bushes where you move a bit slower from that. The Muscle Enhancement makes it so that you move quicker through that. This also makes it so like the sandstorm or the blizzard doesn't affect you as much, and it even affects things like the Titan Vomit, which does slow you down as well, or even like the zap from the, I actually don't remember what they're called, the Watchers maybe? From the Illuminant? I don't know, the little annoying ships that come down and zap you every once in a while. They don't do any damage, but they do a little bit of damage, but not really that much, and then they kind of slow you down, and this helps with it. Muscle Enhancement I think is perfectly fine. It's not nearly as like universally good as the last two that we just talked about, but it's still really strong. It's still one of the best boosters in the game. And it's always nice to have somebody carry this around with you, so that's good. Again, it would be kind of cool if they actually showed all the things that this affect. Then we've got the UAV Recon Booster, which this one increases the Helldiver's effective range. This one also stacks with the increased range that you can get from the ship upgrade. So if you ping somewhere on the map, then you can see how many enemies are in that area. The only thing that I'd really change about this one, and this is a personal preference because I don't really like this booster, I don't really like the scout abilities in general, and it's usually because I forget to use them. If it like highlighted my mini-map in like yellow or something every once in a while, just to kind of give me an idea of like, oh yeah, I can ping and then like actually check around and see what I'm actually doing. This one I think would be a whole lot better for me personally. For people who really like playing that style, they're probably going to enjoy this regardless. I don't think it really needs a buff. It's kind of a nice information gathering thing, and if you want to do missions quickly and kind of stealthy, then this one works really well for that. Maybe it'd also be kind of cool if this one gave you like a stealth boost a little bit if you were laying like prone for so long or something. That would be kind of cool too, just to kind of enhance like the scout ability that this one gives you. The next two we're going to kind of talk about at the same time because they're very similar to one another. So this is increased reinforcement budget. This one gives you more reinforcements based on the maximum amount of Helldivers you have. So this is one more reinforcement per Helldiver. So if you're doing this in solo, then you get 6 reinforcements rather than the 5. If you're doing it with 2-mans, then you get 2 extra. 3-man, you get 3 extra. And 4-man, you get 4 extra. In total, the max this can give you is 24 guys that you can call in, as opposed to 20. And a lot of new players kind of look at this one and go like, oh, that's amazing because we're going to get so much value out of it. Generally speaking, you really don't, though. It's usually not very good because if you've already lost 24 guys and you're just on like the last amount, you were probably better off taking any of the other enhancements because you're probably losing at that point. Or you've already beaten the mission at that point and you're just messing around, in which case then this didn't help you either because you were already still had extra reinforcement budget. Like this one is one of the worst ones. Next to it is also really bad with a flexible reinforcement budget, which this reduces the amount of time that it takes to generate a new unit. So once you get all the way down to having no recruits left, then you have to wait the timer out until you can get another one. This one reduces it by, I believe, about 20%, which sounds okay, but honestly, it only saves you like a couple of seconds. It's not that impactful. And again, if you are already to that point where everybody's dying and you have to rely on this, you're already losing that mission like as it is. Sometimes this could potentially come in clutch, but most of the time it would just be a booster that you probably were better off not taking. I think if you combine these two, this would definitely make them better. I still don't think it would be that great. Honestly, if you combine it with the Expert Extraction Pilot, it might actually be an okay booster then. And let's kind of talk about that now. I know we're not going in order, but Expert Extraction Pilot makes it so it lowers the amount of time for the extraction to get there once you actually call in the extraction at the end of the mission. This doesn't save you that much time either. This one is a very, very little amount that it actually gives you. I think if you combine like all three of these though into one booster, it might actually be worth taking, where if you are losing a bunch of people, you get faster guys coming up. You have extra guys overall so that if you are on a less experienced team or something bad is really happening where everybody's dying, then like you have a chance to come back from that, and also the Expert Extraction Pilot so that you guys can get out of there. That would be an actually okay booster. I still don't think it would be that amazing, but combining all three of these into one booster is probably going to be better than trying to buff them up individually, because giving you more guys, no matter how many guys that you get with this, it's probably not going to matter. Like, unless you're doing your own PvP game mode, in which case then you're not even playing the same Helldivers, so at that point it doesn't really matter. Let's talk about some of the other ones that are kind of better, like the Hellpod Space Optimization. This is probably going to be your very first booster, and this one's good. This one makes it so whenever a Helldiver drops in, you are fully stocked with ammo, grenades, and stims. Usually you don't have a full amount of those, but if you take this one, then you're good to go. So that's actually really good. It's really nice for just about any team. This one is weaker with really good teams, though, because if you're really good and nobody's dying, then it doesn't really matter. You don't really need this, because after you get in like one resupply, or you just find a point of interest where you can just pick up like bullets and stims, the extra part of this doesn't really matter. If you're dying a decent amount, then this one does matter. And generally speaking, this one is going to be good, because even like the absolute best players in this game are going to die to random RNG, or just going to die in general, because there are some missions where you are just going to be swarmed. And even though you can hold out for a very long time, you may just get to the point where you're actually run out of ammo, unless you're taking a weapon that doesn't require that much ammo. But then this one doesn't really help you either way. So this one's generally good, though. I wouldn't change anything about it. I think it's really nice. It would be kind of cool, once again, if it had like more things down here just saying everything that it gave you, or examples of it just for new players, because this one probably is like the first booster you're going to be getting. Then we have Localization Confusion. This one increases the time between enemy encounters. This one is a little bit deceiving as to what it does. This one does make it so things spawn in slower, but that isn't always a great thing, and it's kind of hard to make use of this, because enemies are guaranteed to spawn in during like events. If you're doing an objective, then they're going to be spawning in enemies, and this isn't going to change that at all. What it does is more like when you get random encounters, and then they start sending enemies, and like I think it's with the enemies generating on the maps, then they will be lessened a little bit. It's kind of hard to actually make good use of this one. This is one that I'd really like to have a breakdown of exactly what it does, because there's so many conflicting things about it. And generally speaking, whenever I've taken this, I've seen like no difference in it. So maybe make it so there's some points of interest on the map that also just don't have enemies, like they just don't spawn. I don't know how easy that would be to code in, but that would make the confusion potentially a little bit better. As far as I'm aware, this just delays what's already coming slightly. Then we have Motivational Shocks. This one makes it so all the Helldivers recover faster from slowdown attacks like acid, and they also mitigate the slowdown effects of the EMS strike. This one is basically just a weaker version of muscle enhancement. Now you can stack these and have even more slowdown reduction, or I guess better slowdown reduction, however you want to look at it. And that's actually not too bad. That was pretty good, especially, I can't remember which mission it was, but when they like to spawn a bunch of Titans. I think it was like when this booster first came out. And that was a little bit better. That did make it kind of more useful overall if you stack this and muscle. But generally speaking, muscle is just going to be a better version of this. So I would suggest giving this one something else. Maybe when you're affected by the slow, you also slow down everything near you. At least that's an enemy, maybe not friendlies. But that could make it be a little bit more useful in those situations when a Titan is trying to like charge you and spit acid at you. It would still be rather niche. It wouldn't really be like that great of a booster overall, but it would at least have like some counterplay towards enemies. Or maybe you just slow down enemies with when you're in close vicinity to them. That could be kind of cool if you're going with like a super heavy build and you got like maybe the ballistic shield as your backpack, and you just want to be wearing heavy armor against like bugs or squids to kind of slow down the horde of enemies, at least running towards your teammates. I'm not sure how much that slowdown would be, maybe 10-20%, and maybe make it so the bugs couldn't actually jump if they're actually there. For squids, it wouldn't matter since they can't really do anything besides run at you. And bots, I don't think it would matter at all, because if they're already in close, then they're probably berserkers, and that's going to be a problem for you regardless. Then we have experimental infusion. This one makes it so whenever you take a syringe, this is any sort of syringe or the syringe gun, then this one makes it so your stims give you more movement speed, and they give you more damage reduction for the time being, as well as it lights up your screen. So sometimes it's really difficult to see on certain planets when you actually have this going. As well as this one makes it so you're less accurate too. You have more sway when shooting. This one I think is fine. This one is a really good booster too. I think it's within like the probably top 5 best boosters in the game. It's very nice to have. I wouldn't really change anything about it. Let's talk about all the Hell Pod boosters, where we have the Firebomb, the Stun Pods, and the Armed Resupply Pod. Armed Resupply Pod is a little bit different than this, but it still kind of fits with these. So both the Hell Bomb and the Stun Hell Pods are generally pretty useless. They are probably some of the worst boosters in the game because they don't really do much, and at least with the Firebomb, it usually causes more harm than anything. So when you call down a Hell Pod, this is for anything when you go in, when your equipment comes in, whenever like a resupply comes in. Then with the fire one, it will send out a bunch of flames, deal damage around it, and this is very likely to kill teammates. If you don't have fire armor on, it can kill you pretty fast. And it's really easy to forget that these are actually enabled, and you don't want to be standing too close to the pod when it actually drops in. That's pretty annoying. This one also just doesn't have that big of an explosion radius, nor does it do that much damage towards enemies. I feel like this one, I mean, you could make it so this one does even more damage and has a bigger AoE, and maybe give it like fragmentation rounds or something that fly out when you throw it. That could still be kind of fun. It would still be really bad, and it would be more of a trolling booster than anything. One thing that you could do maybe is if you do have fireproof armor or even just fire resistant armor, regardless of what type of fire resistant armor you add, then like you're not affected by this whatsoever. In which case then maybe you could use this more effectively as a weapon, because it's really difficult to actually use these as weapons to get more value out of them. Because if you're dropping in already and you slam down on top of something, the extra fire damage is probably not going to be enough to actually matter. You're probably going to kill whatever you were trying to kill anyway, or not kill it, and the fire in that case just doesn't really help you. The stun pods are not as bad because you can't really kill somebody with these. You can slow them down and you can get them killed thanks to the stun pods. They also kind of do the same thing for enemies though. Like if you're already crashing down on top of an enemy, you don't need to stun them. You're probably already stunning them or killing them outright. Or again, maybe they're just unaffected by stuns. Like if you crash into a Titan, it's not really going to do much to them. This one, I mean, you could combine it with the fire one and that would make it a little bit better. You can try to combine both these in the game right now, but honestly, that really doesn't do anything except for kill teammates more effectively, because it's like, well, I didn't die from the pod, I got lit on fire, but now I'm stunned and now I'm stuck in the fire. Okay, well, that kind of sucks. The armed resupply pod is actually a pretty decent one here, though, because this one just makes it so your resupply pod is basically an extra turret. It's pretty much like the machine gun turret. Not as high rate of fire, I don't think, or as high damage, but it at least gives some protection there, and it's a fine booster to be taking. It's better on defense missions. At least it still has kind of a niche. Maybe if it was combined with the other pods, that could be better, or if it was combined with the other pods and then changes its damage type to potentially stunning, so it has a Liberator Concussive on there, maybe with a higher rate of fire. Our next booster is the Sample Scanner. This one's really good for beginners. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything for more experienced players, but that's just kind of the way this one has to work anyway. The percentage chance here is nice, and it's really good for both the rare and the common samples. For super samples, You might still get an extra one out every mission, but you're more likely going to be getting quite a few extra, like, rares and commons. Which, I mean, to be fair, it took me the most time to get more commons for all my ship upgrades than anything. So this one, I wouldn't really change unless it was to combine it with the sample extricator, which just makes it so large enemies have a small chance of dropping samples on death, but you can only get 10 of these samples on death. I think these are always common too. And this can be big enemies like Chargers, Titans, Hulks, things like that. There's always a chance for them to drop something. And that's not bad either, unless, again, you're like me, where you already have all the ship upgrades and you don't need samples anymore. They're just kind of sitting there. So maybe combine both these and maybe change it to something else so that it's more of like a foraging type booster of some sort. Another way to have these be better would be like put them in the superstore and make it so you can buy them. So they're actually good for new players, because these are both in different war bonds, and that's kind of annoying to get both of these separate so that you can put them on one character. And then our very last booster is Dead Sprint. And last time I talked about Dead Sprint, it seemed like a lot of people really hated it, which was weird. I think Dead Sprint is okay. Dead Sprint is not way crazy. It just makes it so whenever you're sprinting, then once you run out of stamina, then it will start consuming health for you to keep running. And this can't actually kill you, and it can actually be lessened thanks to the Vitality booster if you want to stack that on there. This one's just not as good as like the Vitality booster and the Stamina booster combined. It's not really as good as the Stamina booster, but if you want to combine all of them just to be running around constantly, Dead Sprint is okay then. It's not that bad of a booster overall in my opinion, but it's also not a necessary booster. It's kind of just one that you take if you want to. Maybe something you could do to kind of buff this would simply be whenever you actually trigger Dead Sprint, or after so long you've triggered Dead Sprint, then you get more of like adrenaline to where you can run faster. You get like a movement speed buff temporarily for a little bit that hopefully raises your overall movement speed cap. I think that could make it a little bit more useful for kind of what they're going for with this, because then you can use it to like either just run to whatever location you need to, which ever since they've started adding more things like the warp pack, the jump pack, I guess that was always in there, but the warp pack and like the car were added after this one. You don't really need Dead Sprint if you want to get around the map faster. So like maybe just give it some other thing where if you are running away from enemies and then you actually drop all of your stamina, then like you get an adrenaline buff and then can sprint further for like 5 seconds or something like that. And then it goes on cooldown for so long, and then maybe it can proc again, or maybe after you've lost so much health, then it procs. That could be potentially useful too, and even in like middle of combat, then that one could be a little bit more useful. And that'd be my suggestion for all the boosters in Helldivers. We do have some really good ones in Helldivers, and since you're locked to 4 of them, it would be kind of cool if we combine some more of these together, since like over half of these I almost never see. Tell me your thoughts on the boosters. Which ones would you change, and would you want to see any of these combined like I kind of would? Thank you guys so very much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye everybody.